Hey there Aces, Fenrir Darkfang here, pleasure as always. I miss doing this. Some of you might remember my Stories of TPF series from back when that group was still a thing. Revamped, upcycled, and back on track. The community showcase to give exposure to TFTubers, SFM artists, and animators, to awesome people found around my channel, as well as people known around the community for whatever reason. The first ace I'm featuring in this revived series is an old friend of mine, my former team's medic, the person who ultimately caused me to become one of TPF's admins back in the day, and last but not least, he's the talented poster artist behind all of my recent thumbnails. The reason why I've decided to start this series with a relatively unknown SFM artist is so I can get some of the opinions of you, my sub-viewers, so I can improve if needed for when I start out with some more well-known TFTubers, which might give my videos a lot more exposure due to the featured person alone. Even so, I don't think this video will be a letdown. After all, at least in my humble opinion, this fellow has some extremely well-made SFM art in stock, and he does know how to use lighting properly to boot. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Thanatosian Phoenix.
Yay! Sound of applause from the crowd and all that.
You know what, I'm just gonna hit a sample there. Anyways, Phoenix, how are you doing?
I'm alright. Busy day of college work, but I'm okay.
Alright, in that case, let's not waste your time and hop right into the questions. First of all, where you from, and second, what brought you into TF2?
I hail from the magnificent country of the United Kingdom, and I actually live just a few miles south of London. What got me into TF2? Actually, my secondary school friends, when I was in year 8, which is the second year of secondary education, all my friends were playing TF2. You know, they'd go home and they'd play TF2 on their computers and stuff. And eventually I got it when it went free to play because I didn't have a lot of money beforehand. And then, you know, for a few years it was just kind of on and off. You know, in the evenings I'd hop on with a few friends and just play, and then I started playing sort of every day after I got home, and I fell in love with the game completely.
That is one textbook answer right there. Right, so next question would be, what's your main and what's your main subclasses, and why?
My main is medic, and it's been that way for a long time. Since I properly started playing TF2, I've been a medic main. The two other classes that I kind of main are Pyro and Demo. So the list, it pretty much goes medic, Pyro, Demo in terms of playtime.
Alright.
And I main medic because, I'm going to be honest, my aim isn't very good. I cannot aim hit scan weapons to save my life. So, and that's not a skill that's needed when you play medic, so I play medic. That's the original reason I kind of got into playing medic, and as time went on and I got better with the class, again, I just fell in love with the class and how it's played and how much effect he can have on the game. So, yeah, medic.
Talk about being self-conscious. Right, describe your own playstyle in your own words, if you will. Because, you know, everyone brings another mindset to the table, even among the same class. So, what is your mindset when you play medic?
My mindset, I don't know. I'm quite an offensive medic, but I know when to be defensive. Like, I'm that kind of medic that's always encouraging his team to move forward. I like to keep very much a forward momentum in the way I play. It's all about putting pressure on the enemy team, and for that reason I quite enjoy using the Kritzkrieg because it's a very offensive Uber. And in terms of like healing, I rely quite heavily on the Crusader's crossbow to heal more very quickly. So yeah, I've got a very weird way of playing medic. Admittedly, it's not something that I've ever seen anyone else use, but it works for me. So
Alright. Well, I mean, I personally can vouch that your quote unquote weird way of playing Medic is quite effective, as I've been saved by it time and time again. Next question will be, what's the one thing that annoys you this single most in Team Fortress 2, and why?
um, depends. In terms of like when I'm in game, probably the thing that really gets on my nerves is like experienced players getting stuff wrong. And that sounds awful, but I play a lot of medic, so oftentimes if there's a good player, like I can see that they're good, I can see that they've got plenty of playtime, and then I kind of get in a situation where I need them to help me out and they don't. I get really frustrated by that because I'm like, you know how this game works, you should know to protect me. And that sounds awful. But the other thing that really annoys me is unbalanced weapons, stuff like the Force of Nature, and in my eyes, the Dead Ringer. Stuff that is unbalanced but is just left alone for the longest of times, and I don't like that.
Well, I mean, the Dead Ringer is arguable.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
there's
The
actually
Dead Ringer not so much because it is debatable. Like it, in some ways it is balanced, but in some ways it's not. It's it's one of those things. But yeah,
yeah, I know
unbalanced
what you mean.
weapons and gameplay mechanics that just aren't seem to be. There's nothing being done to them that we can see. Like they've just been kind of ignored. And the overdose is a classic example. That thing's not been changed for years, and yet it's just not good. Um, you know,
It, quite right. I mean, all they would have to change is to make the whole
Yeah,
effect passive, and
exactly. Like
boom, there
the
you go.
overdose is especially frustrating because it's the one medic primary that could actually contest with the crossbow in terms of like overall usage, but it's just not quite there, and that's really really frustrating.
Alright, now let's head to the bit that made me feature you, Phoenix, because by now we've only done generic TF2 questions. Now, the bit why I feature you. What exactly brought you into picking up SFM? And where did you learn? What tutorials? What tricks? How much practice?
What brought me to SFM? I can't even remember. I've been doing SFM for just the longest of times now. I think originally the thing that caused me to download SFM and try and learn it was all the animations, the meat stuff and the more community stuff. Like the winglet is a huge, inspiration for me, as he is for a lot of SFM artists. Just the quality of his work and the level of detail in them is just amazing. And at first, of course, I tried to learn how to do proper, animations, but all the guides I was looking at said it was easier to do animations if you knew how to do posters and how to do more stills. So I kind of learned how to do that, and I really enjoyed doing it. It's tedious, but it's worth it. The end result, what you can create, is just amazing. Um, the guides that I used, most of it is self-taught. I'm going to be honest. Most of it is just through hours and hours spent in SFM, just testing stuff out, seeing what all the buttons do. Stuff like lighting and some camera settings, I did look at guides online for. I've got quite a few kind of websites that I do refer to regularly to find models for light settings, for camera settings, and all of that. So most of it is self-taught just through experience.
Alright, well, if you want to share whatever websites you've used in order to learn lighting and such, we can add the links for
Yes,
that into the
I will
description down
definitely do
below
so
after the
because
video.
they're amazing and I use them in just about everything I do in SFM.
Alright, so as you've kind of mentioned now, the one skill you're specifically proud of in terms of SFM would be your lighting, right?
Yes, I use lighting quite a bit in every poster. Like I rely quite heavily on my lighting for effects and stuff. So,
Any basic rudimentary tips you got for the people out there
yes,
on what to look out for if you want to use your lights correctly?
there is a technique called 3-point lighting, which is basically rather than having one single light affecting the subject from the position of the camera, which is what happens by, normality. Normally when you add a light, it's from the camera and it's just one straight on. That produces a very, very flat image. If you create 3 separate lights and have them in different positions around the subject, then it adds a lot of depth and it makes your model and your subject just look so much better. That's highlighted in one of the links that will be in the description of this.
All right. So you've said that that the winglet inspired you, and that you've also kind of thought of picking up animating. Now, are you going anywhere with this, or are you going to stick to posters now?
I think eventually I will look into doing full animations again, but for the moment I don't have the time to sink into that. I simply don't. I'm very much a perfectionist. If I'm going to get into something, then I need to spend a lot of time learning to do it so I can do it properly. And for now, I'm perfectly happy just doing, my posters. I enjoy doing them. They're all right. I'm quite happy with just doing those for the moment, but eventually I will probably start doing full animations.
I getcha. But just for the sake of argument, if you would pick up animating, how would you go about it? Just in case someone out there has the same idea.
I'm not really sure. I would probably go for more of a comedic kind of drama kind of thing. Still have, justifiable stories and all that, but include some humor in there as well, because I'm a funny guy. I like a joke. And the characters in the Team Fortress 2 universe just leave so much, to be done humor-wise with each individual character and their interactions. You can do a lot with.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, and I guess the viewers do too see what you mean with that, seeing as I've shared a lot of your pictures over this interview. So, last but not least, do you generally take commissions from people other than friends?
Oh yeah. If someone was, I've not done it as of yet, but if someone came to me and said, "Yo, can you make an SFM for me?" I'd say, "Yeah, sure. What do you need?" I've done commissions in the past for various friends, either because they've come to me with an idea, or I've had an idea and I've kind of contacted them and said, "Yo, do you want me to make this for you?" But yeah, if people were to come to me and say, "Yo, do this thing for me," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, okay."
Alright, Phoenix, keep doing what you're doing, not because you have to, but because you love it, as long as you love it.
I will, and I expect to continue enjoying it for a very long time yet.
Alright, everyone, as always, I'm going to, well, not as always, I mean, I've shouted him out, but I'm going to link his Steam profile in the video description down below as well. So if you guys want to ask him for any poster commission or anything, you can check his profile out via my description box. And be polite, and to be honest, leave him a little tip. Anyways, all of you, have a nice day. Phoenix, thanks for joining in. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Alright, everyone, Phoenix, always stay the ace up your team sleeve, and goodbye.